I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Julia and I had been married for 6 years, and honestly, things seemed pretty stable, or so I thought. She's always been the kind of woman who makes a scene over the smallest things, argues about everything, and can be downright bitchy when she's in a bad mood. But she's also charming and beautiful, and I guess I was stupid enough to believe that meant she was loyal. I mean, we were college sweethearts. We met at university, went to the same classes, and even sat next to each other during exams. I thought we had a solid connection, or at least I did. Our relationship was pretty typical at first. We had our fights, sure, but I always believed that what we had was real. Julia had her moments of bitchiness, especially when she thought I wasn't paying enough attention to her. She insisted she was just getting tired of my crap. But deep down, I think I knew she was pulling away. Still, I never suspected she'd do something like cheat. That is, until last weekend at the alumni reunion. The reunion was supposed to be just a chance to catch up with old friends, relive some college memories, and maybe rekindle some of that youthful energy we lost over the years. Julia insisted she wanted to go, said she was going to resolve old tensions, her words, not mine. I didn't think much of it at the time. She's always been someone who liked stirring the pot, and honestly, I figured she just wanted to stir some drama with her old college friends. But I was wrong. The night of the reunion was pretty uneventful at first. I saw Julia flirting here and there, but I thought she was just trying to be social. It's what she does, overcompensates when she's nervous or when she's hiding something. We were in the old lecture hall where we used to compete for top grades, the place she's always ranted about, how she was the smartest one in college. Even though I know she's not. It's her way of being bitchy, to put others down. I watched her from across the room, drinking a beer, laughing with some old friends, and then I noticed something strange. She wasn't alone for long. I saw her slip away from the crowd, heading toward the back of the hall. I figured she was just going to the bathroom or maybe smoking outside. But then I saw him, Tommy. Yeah, Tommy, the college rival she used to talk about all the time, the guy she claimed she hated but was secretly obsessed with. They were deep in conversation, and then they disappeared behind a door I didn't even realize was there, the old storage closet. That's when everything clicked into place. I was frozen, watching this happen, trying to make sense of it. I saw their shadows through the crack in the door. They were kissing, and I swear I saw them go at it. It wasn't just a quick peck either, it was full-on making out, hands all over each other. My stomach sank. I felt this rush of anger and betrayal swirl through me. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew I'd just caught her in the act. I wanted to run in there and confront her right then, but I hesitated. Instead, I backed away slowly, my mind racing. How could she do this? After everything we've been through, she's out here fucking her college rival. She always told me I was too possessive, that I didn't trust her. Well, I trusted her, and this is what I get. A cheating wife with some guy she clearly had unresolved tensions with. I stayed in the shadows, trying to process what I'd just seen, trying to keep my composure. But I knew this was only the beginning of what would become the worst betrayal I've ever experienced. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding head and a mind that refused to stay quiet. I kept replaying everything I saw, the way Julia and Tommy disappeared behind that door, the way she was so into him, like she was finally getting what she wanted. I couldn't sleep after that. My stomach was twisted, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt sick, betrayed, and furious all at once. I wanted to confront her right then, but I also knew I needed to think carefully. I couldn't just blow up without knowing exactly what I was dealing with. I spent the morning pretending everything was normal, but inside I was boiling. I kept looking for clues, trying to figure out if what I saw was just a one-time thing or had there been other moments I missed. Had she been doing this for weeks, months? I found small things that I'd never paid attention to before, her phone constantly being hidden, her late nights out, secretive texts I'd dismissed as work stuff. But seeing her with Tommy, so close and so obvious, changed everything. It wasn't just suspicion anymore, it was confirmation. Later that day, I decided I had to talk to her. I waited until she was in the kitchen, pretending to be busy with coffee. I didn't yell or scream, I just asked her straight out, "Julia, what's going on? Who is Tommy to you?" Her reaction was classic. She looked annoyed, rolled her eyes, and scoffed like I was the biggest idiot alive. What are you talking about? You're imagining things. Tommy is just an old friend. You're paranoid. Honestly, you're so insecure. I could feel my blood boiling. I knew she was lying, but I needed her to own up. I said, "Don't bullshit me, Julia. I saw you with him last night behind the old lecture hall. Don't even try to deny it." Her face went pale for a second, then she snapped. "Oh, so now you're spying on me? Classic. You're so damn insecure I can't even breathe around you. You're making this all up because you're jealous. Tommy's just a friend and you're overreacting. You're always accusing me of things I'm not doing." That was her usual tactic: deny, deflect, lie. I saw through it all. The anger I'd been suppressing boiled over. I told her I knew she was cheating, that I'd seen everything, and that I was sick of her lies. Her voice got bitchy, sharp, like she was pissed I dared to call her out. "You're crazy. You're always so paranoid. Maybe if you weren't such a boring, insecure idiot, I wouldn't have to find someone who actually appreciates me." That was the moment I realized how low she'd sink, insulting me after everything. I felt a huge wave of sadness mixed with rage. This wasn't just about the cheating anymore. It was about how she treated me, like I was nothing, like I didn't matter. I told her I wanted to know the truth, and if she was doing this, I'd be done. She just smirked, crossed her arms, and said, "You're overreacting. I don't owe you an explanation. I don't love you anymore, and honestly, I'm tired of pretending." That's when I knew I had to make a choice. But for now, I held back from throwing her out or yelling more. I just wanted to process everything, figure out my next move. Later that evening, I went online and started digging. I wanted proof, something concrete that I could confront her with. I checked her phone, her messages, even her social media. There were plenty of suspicious texts, deleted conversations, and flirty emojis, but nothing that was 100% definitive. Still, the feeling in my gut told me I'd seen enough. This wasn't just an innocent flirtation. She was cheating, and she was doing it with the one guy I told myself I'd never have to worry about: Tommy. The same guy she used to hate, now apparently her new obsession. I felt numb. I kept thinking about the past few years, the promises we made, the vacations, the quiet nights at home. All that felt like a lie now. I didn't sleep that night, just staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how Julia could be so cold, so manipulative. She always had a way of pretending she was the victim, spinning stories, lying her way out of everything. But I was done being played. I knew I needed to face her again, but I also knew this was just the beginning of a long, painful journey. The next day, I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was more prepared. I didn't want to just accuse her blindly. I needed to hear her tell her lies face to face, see her reaction when she realized I wasn't going to roll over. I decided I'd wait until she came home from whatever meeting she claimed to have. I didn't trust her, to be honest, but I figured I'd get more out of her if she thought I was just casually chatting. When she finally walked through the door, her typical bitchy smirk was plastered across her face. She looked like she was already expecting some kind of pity party, or maybe she thought she'd just lie her way out again. I didn't give her that chance. I looked her right in the eyes, and I told her I knew everything. I explained exactly what I saw, what I found in her phone, and how her stories didn't add up. Her face twisted with irritation, and she started to spin her usual nonsense. "Look, I don't know what you think you saw," she snapped, crossing her arms. "That was just a stupid joke, a misunderstanding. Tommy and I are just friends. You're making a mountain out of a molehill because you're paranoid, like always. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, I wouldn't need to find someone who actually appreciates me." I felt my fists clench. I was on the verge of losing my temper, but I kept my voice steady. "Julia, stop lying. I saw you with him. You were kissing, touching, everything. You lied to my face yesterday, and I'm not going to listen to any more bullshit. I want the truth, and I want it now. Are you cheating on me or not?" Her eyes flashed with anger, and she started yelling. "Oh, so now you're the victim. I'm tired of your accusations. You're just jealous because I don't want to be with someone like you anymore. I deserve better than your insecure bullshit. If you can't handle my life, maybe we should just end this. I don't need your permission to do what I want." That hit me like a punch. I'd never seen her so bitchy, so full of venom, but deep down I knew I had to stand my ground. I told her that I was done with her lies, that I was done with the sneaking around. I said I'd give her one last chance to tell me the truth, or I was walking away. I could see her eyes flicker, trying to come up with some excuse, some way to spin this into a joke, but I wasn't buying it anymore. She looked at me with that contemptuous sneer, and that's when she suddenly threw out something that made my blood run cold. "Fine, you want the truth. Yeah, I slept with Tommy, so what? It was just sex and it doesn't mean anything. I was angry with you and he's just a rebound. You're so insecure you couldn't even keep me happy. Honestly, I don't care what you think anymore. I'm done pretending we're a real family. I'm done pretending I love you." Hearing that, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. For a second, I couldn't breathe. I stared at her, trying to understand how she could be so callous, so indifferent to everything we had. My mind spun wildly, a whirlwind of hurt, rage, and disbelief. I wanted to yell, to shout her down, but I just stood there, feeling numb. That moment, it was like everything I'd believed in, our marriage, our future, was shattered beyond repair. I remember her smirking, like she was proud of herself for finally spilling the truth. But inside, I was a mess. I knew she'd lied about so much, spun her stories to make herself look innocent, but now she'd just confessed. And I realized something crucial: this wasn't just about cheating. It was about who she really was: bitchy, manipulative, and utterly selfish. I didn't know what to say next. Part of me wanted to scream, break something, tear her apart with my words, but another part just wanted to walk away. I left the house that day with my head spinning and my heart heavy, knowing everything had changed. I didn't want to be with someone who could do this to me, to us. I knew I had to figure out whether I could forgive her or if I was going to cut ties and move on. For now, I just felt hollow. The trust was gone, and I had no idea how to fix what was broken. After she finally spilled the truth, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just heard. Julia, the woman I loved, the woman I thought was my partner, had just admitted to sleeping with Tommy, her college rival. For a moment, I just stood there, unable to speak, feeling my stomach churn. That just sex explanation she threw out sounded so hollow, like she was trying to minimize it, brush it off. But I knew deep down it was so much more than that. It was betrayal, plain and simple. I decided I couldn't stay in that house anymore. I needed space to think, to breathe, to figure out what I was going to do next. I grabbed my keys, told her I was leaving, and walked out without another word. Her bitchy smirk was still there, like she didn't care, like she was already over what she'd done. Honestly, I wanted to shake her, scream at her, ask her how she could be so cold. But I knew it wouldn't change anything. I just drove away, feeling emptier than I ever had. I spent the next few days in a daze. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. All those little clues, her secret texts, her late nights, her dismissive attitude, now made so much sense. She'd been weaving a lie, and I was the fool who believed it. That betrayal cut so deep I didn't even recognize myself. I'd always been the kind of guy who trusted, who believed in loyalty, in honesty. But she shattered all of that in one night. I kept asking myself, why did she do it? Was it just Tommy, or was there someone else? Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? That last question haunted me more than anything. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him, those stolen moments, the way she looked so damn happy. And I realized I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. Furious at her, furious at myself for not seeing it sooner, furious at everything. Finally, I decided I had to face the truth head on. I called up a good friend, Mike, who's always been straight with me. I needed an outside opinion, someone who wouldn't sugarcoat things. I told him everything, what I saw, what she admitted, how I felt. And he told me, "Bro, she's been playing you this whole time. She's a manipulative bitch. You deserve better than someone who cheats and lies. You gotta decide if you want to fight for that marriage or cut your losses and move on." That wasn't an easy choice. Staying meant risking more pain, more lies, more betrayal. Leaving meant starting over, alone and hurt. But I also knew that staying with her, after she'd admitted to sleeping with her rival, was just prolonging the suffering. I didn't want to live in a lie anymore. I deserved someone who respects me, who values what we had. Over the next couple of days, I made up my mind. I told Julia I was done. Not just for now, probably forever. I told her that I couldn't trust her anymore, that her lies and betrayal had broken whatever was left of our marriage. She argued, of course. Called me insecure, accused me of being jealous, said she was just trying to resolve some old tensions. But I knew better. I saw the truth, and I'd had enough. I moved out of the house and found a small apartment nearby. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I needed a fresh start, away from her bitchy attitude and her manipulations. Even though it hurt like hell, I knew I couldn't stay in the same place and pretend everything was okay. Every day I spent in that apartment, I felt a little more relieved, a little more like myself again. But the pain still lingered, especially when I thought about all the years we wasted, all the trust she threw away. Looking back, I realize I learned a lot from this disaster. I learned that you can't always see the betrayal coming, and sometimes people hide who they really are behind a charming smile. I also learned that the hardest part isn't the betrayal itself. It's the process of accepting it, of rebuilding your sense of self after someone you loved turns out to be a liar and a cheat. My advice to anyone out there dealing with a similar situation: trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs. And when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Because, in the end, there's no coming back from betrayal like this. You have to decide whether to forgive and forget or to walk away. I chose to walk. It's painful, but I know I'll be okay eventually. I just need time to heal. The weeks that followed were the hardest of my life. Moving out, cutting off the life I thought I knew, felt like ripping off a bandage too slowly. Every day brought a new wave of memories, moments we shared, fights, laughter, and then the betrayal. I kept replaying everything, trying to find some kind of closure, but it was like searching in a dark room with no light. I knew I had to let go, but part of me refused to accept it fully. Still, I told myself I deserved better, that I was worth more than someone who could cheat and lie so blatantly. I kept busy, throwing myself into work and trying to rebuild my sense of stability. I didn't want to dwell on her or what she did to me anymore. But then came the unexpected. One afternoon, I received a message on my phone. At first, I thought it was just some spam or a wrong number, but then I looked closer. It was from Julia. Never in my life did I imagine I'd get a message from her, especially after everything, and yet there it was. Her words were cold, bitchy, and manipulative as ever. She started with a typical "I'm sorry you're upset," twisting everything around to make herself look like the victim again. She claimed she'd made a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen, and that she still loved me, that she'd been really sorry and wanted to work things out. I couldn't believe I was reading her words. After everything she'd admitted, she still had the audacity to try and manipulate me. It made my blood boil. I responded, telling her she was wasting her time, that I was done, that I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. I told her she had destroyed everything we built, and I wasn't about to let her drag me back into that mess. I also made it clear that I was moving on, finding someone who would respect me, who wouldn't cheat or lie. That I deserved honesty, not her lies. I thought that would be the end of it, but then she fired back with even nastier messages, accusing me of being insecure, jealous, and pathetic. That's when I realized she wasn't going to change. Her bitchy attitude and manipulative ways were just who she was. I decided to block her after that. No more messages, no more drama. I couldn't keep falling into her trap. I'd made my decision and I was going to stick with it. It hurt like hell, but I knew it was the best thing for me. In the aftermath, I started seeing a counselor. I needed to process everything, to understand how someone I loved could betray me so completely. The sessions helped a lot. I realized that her cheating was more about her own insecurities and need for validation than anything I did. It wasn't my fault. I learned to value myself again, to rebuild my confidence. It was a slow process, but every day got a little easier. I also started dating again, cautiously. I didn't want to jump into anything serious right away, but I knew I deserved someone who would treat me right. Someone who wouldn't lie, cheat, or manipulate. It's weird. After everything, I feel a little more aware of what I want and what I won't tolerate. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be better, stronger. Looking back, I realize I learned some harsh lessons. Trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But I also learned that I can survive it. I can pick myself up and start over even after the worst heartbreak. The key is knowing your worth, standing up for yourself, and not letting anyone treat you like you're disposable. So to anyone out there dealing with a betrayal, trust me, it hurts, it's messy, and it feels like your world is crashing down. But eventually you'll find a way through it. You'll come out the other side stronger, wiser, and ready to rebuild. Just don't forget, you deserve honesty and respect. Never settle for less. Now, sitting here months later, I can honestly say I've come a long way. The pain still lingers sometimes, but it's no longer consuming me. I've learned to accept what happened, not as a reflection of my worth, but as a chapter in my life. A painful one, but necessary. I realize now that I was naive to think I could fix what she broke, especially when she clearly had no intention of being honest or faithful. That realization freed me in a strange way. It allowed me to finally see that I don't need to chase after someone who doesn't want me, someone who manipulates and lies just to feed her own ego. One of the biggest lessons I've taken from all of this is that self-respect matters more than anything. I spent years putting her first, believing her lies, trying to make everything work. But I've learned that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If someone shows you they're not worth your trust, you have to walk away. Staying in a toxic relationship only prolongs the pain and keeps you from healing. I also realized how important it is to have people around who genuinely care. My friends, my family, they've been my anchor through this mess. Talking openly about everything helped me process my feelings and regain some sense of clarity. I'm grateful for that support because it reminded me that I'm not alone and that I don't have to carry this burden by myself. Looking back, I feel a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Relief because I finally freed myself from the lies and betrayal. Sadness because I lost what I thought was a real partnership. But more than anything, I feel empowered. I now understand that I'm capable of surviving even the worst betrayals and that I have the strength to rebuild my life on my own terms. For anyone reading this who's going through something similar, just know that it's okay to feel broken at first. It's okay to be angry, to cry, to want to scream at the world. But don't stay stuck in that pain. There's a future beyond the heartbreak, a future where you're respected and valued. It takes time, patience, and a lot of self-love, but you will heal. You will come out stronger. And to myself, I say, never again will I ignore the signs or let someone manipulate me into thinking I'm not enough. I've learned my lesson the hard way, but I'll carry it with me always. I'll move forward, not with bitterness or hatred, but with a newfound respect for myself. Trust is fragile, yes, but so am I, and I refuse to let anyone take away my dignity again. This whole experience has been brutal, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, because now I know what I deserve, and I know that I'm better off without someone who cheats, lies, and treats me like I'm disposable. I finally believe that I'm worthy of real love, someone who respects me, who values me, and who doesn't need to resolve old tensions by sleeping with someone else. I'm done with that chapter. Now I'm just focusing on moving forward, one step at a time.